All right, folks. Yes, this is Mark Lee, and of course, I'm thoroughly enjoying a Labor Day right here in Durham, North Carolina. Usually on a Wednesday afternoon, y'all would be finding the online dinner parties, which is why you see that as one of the shows that I do. But of course, this is the radio show with Mark Lee, so definitely looking forward to having many of you join in on the show and things of that nature. So we're definitely going to have a fun time and an enjoyable time. So definitely looking forward to a great conversation with many of you as to how things will go, and definitely talk to you about a lot of the events going on. And of course, I've got a very special guest on the show with me this evening. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with Brian Schulman, who is a master of digital media and just does all kinds of really cool things. So looking forward to having a great conversation with him. And of course, we'll talk about things going on in the world as well as just how things are going in general. So definitely looking forward to that. But I actually started off the show a little bit off kilter and did not start with the intro. So we're going to go back to the intro. Then I'll come back with some comments on some things that are going on, and then we'll bring Brian on. So right now we're going to have that intro coming on, which is about the radio show. And then I'll be back with more comments. But like I said, I just started off the show right there with a little bit of comments, but then that's the intro that y'all will usually see at the beginning of the radio show with Mark Lee. So definitely glad that folks are tuning in, checking out what we're doing and checking out what we're all about. Of course, this is Labor Day weekend, so a number of folks are out there getting their picnic on, getting their cookouts on, getting things of that nature on, because a lot of times this is considered the end of the summer season for a number of folks. They consider this kind of the end of the summer season and kind of the milestone end. But of course, with all that's going on in the world with COVID and everything else, a number of people are not doing the usual things that they usually would do because they're staying at home and doing things along that line. So definitely, I saw that a number of folks, including a friend of mine that I just went and grabbed a bite to eat with, was telling me that they were not going to go check out the cookouts just because they were not in that kind of cookout mode. And I know sometimes folks are not in the cookout mode for whatever reasons they might not be wanting to do these things. So a number of times folks are doing things along that line. And of course, we also have a number of other things that are going on around the world. As a matter of fact, they're saying that most young adults are back in the nest. So a new study just came out showing a record number of young adults are now living with their parents or living with folks of that nature. So we do have a number of folks that are actually going back into the home front, not staying in apartments. And of course, some of that is being forced on us by what is going on with COVID and some of the other things that are happening around society. Because we do know a number of folks are still involved in the protests that are going on around Black Lives Matter and a number of other issues. So we are finding folks that are going back into their homes and actually staying with their parents. And I may have some more comments about that later on. But definitely that's one of the things that's going on in the world. I know that I am a sports fan, so I was catching out my basketball and getting my basketball addiction in this evening. So I was actually, well, not this evening, but this weekend, I was watching the Lakers not up their series, and I think that they've got to play again on Tuesday. And then the Clippers, who I'm actually rooting for since I went to school with Doc Rivers, they actually lost game 2. So all of the series are tied up at 1-1, except for the series that Milwaukee is involved in. And that one, they actually managed to escape getting swept. So they are down 3-1. So still have a significant ways to go. And along that lines, we'll see if they can pull off a miracle, because no team ever apparently has come down from 3 back. So we'll see if they're going to be the first one. I'm actually thinking that's not going to happen because they are actually going against a very strong team. And I just don't think that Miami is going to roll over and let that happen. But hey, stranger things have happened in the world of sports, in the world of life, just in general. So like I said, I know that some of y'all were trying to figure out why I had the Godfather symbol up there on my symbol, but I've got Brian Schulman on. I've had the pleasure of popping in on a couple of his shows. He's just an amazing gentleman, definitely involved in the digital world, and just somebody whose spirit I really do enjoy and seeing all the time. So definitely glad to have Brian on with me, and we'll talk a little bit about digital media, how he got involved in that, and much more. But definitely, when I saw that he is considered the godfather of LinkedIn, I had to tease him a little bit by putting that up there and everything. So, Brian, I'm glad that you could join me. Like I said, when you and Tim invite me to get my social dancing on, I always have a good time with that, and I always have a good time whenever y'all invite me to come on. So, always just fun having you on, fun checking you out, and you always got great things going on. So, I was just glad to be able to have you on as my guest this evening. But definitely, if you would just share a little bit with our listeners about your background with digital media, how you got involved with digital media, and also as Sri and so many other people ask everybody, how are you doing and how are you coping in this age of COVID? I know I just mentioned earlier that folks are actually finding their older kids staying at home, and I think that might be the case with you based on our earlier conversation. So are y'all able to cope with each other? Are y'all able to put up with each other? Or are you about ready to strangle them?
Well, Mark, first and foremost, it's an honor to join you on your show. Always great to have you on our weekly shows. So lots of fun, good vibes, positive energy, which is what it's all about. So let me see if I can trail all those things here. So yeah, so known as the godfather of LinkedIn video, one of the world's top video marketing experts. Been on the internet since it was green screen and chat rooms. And 21 years of proven digital marketing experience, strategizing with IR 500 and Fortune 500 brands across the globe. I'm a Forbes featured entrepreneur, a LinkedIn top voice, founder and CEO of Voice Your Vibe. Serve on a number of boards. I'm a trusted advisor to mentors and mentor to founders and companies across the globe. I was named a 2019 LinkedIn Video Creator of the Year, one of the world's top LinkedIn Video and LinkedIn Live creators in the world, and outside of COVID, a sought-after international speaker who does speaking engagements throughout the year. Speaking of live shows, my LinkedIn Live shows have been featured in Forbes, Thrive Global, and in July of 2019, actually, we broke the LinkedIn Live record of broadcasting live for more than 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And then through workshops and one-on-one mastery coaching, teach founders and C-suite execs who want to find their voice and show up, but don't know how to voice their vibe, attract their tribe, and tell a story people will fall in love with on LinkedIn through video, either live or native.
Wow, there's a lot of great work that you're doing. I know a lot of folks will be very impressed by the kind of things that you're doing and everything. What has been some of the things that you found that have really surprised you about the whole LinkedIn and the digital media community? Because like I said, I know a number of folks are getting involved in it. We are seeing more and more people involved. But I was just wondering, what are some of the things that you have found that have surprised you that you were not expecting? Like I said, you've been in the game for 21 years or so, but I'm sure there are some things that actually shocked you as you have gone into the business. So I'd love to hear from you some of the things that you've learned that actually surprised you.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's interesting, when you think about a platform like LinkedIn. So like I've been on LinkedIn every day for the last, well, it'll be 17 years come December. The platform is 18 and a half years old, and so much has changed in such a short, well, I would say a short period of time. I mean, digital is just constantly evolving, and it's a blink of an eye, and time goes by. And so we've certainly seen a crazy evolution where, again, in the case of a LinkedIn, where it started out with 1 million people on the platform when I joined, now you've got over 675 million people, which grew 15 million from November to January alone. That's like pre-COVID, right? Where everyone is online, right, over the last 6+ months. But of those 675 million, you've got probably 250 million that are quote unquote active, meaning you've got a profile. You're not creating any content or anything, but you're there, if you will, right? But it's only around single percentage points. Last was 1%. I need to get an update, but that are actually creating content. So you've got so many platforms out there, right, that you can show up on. But and they've been around for a while, but some are much more evolved than others, right? Like LinkedIn was late to the game with LinkedIn Video, because LinkedIn Video just happened it launched in alpha June of 2017. LinkedIn Live launched just last year around February. So they were behind the game, you know, if you will, compared to other platforms. But like anything, when you go to these digital playgrounds they build for you, if that's your home, like that's where you live, when everything new comes, it's like this new shiny penny, right? Not really looking at, oh, they're behind these or those. It's more like, oh, we have this now. So it's, I would say, you know, LinkedIn has definitely evolved so much in just the last handful of years alone, especially with video, because it really changed the game, Mark. I would say it's the first time it became human with a heartbeat. And I don't mean that it wasn't like that before. I'm just saying before that, it was, you were showing up in your proverbial suit with your suit speak and no video, right? So you were sharing articles or writing articles or posts or what have you. And it was just all business. But when video came out, it became human with a heartbeat for the first time. And it became personal and emotional and real, you know? And it was really interesting, dynamic, exciting, heartfelt. And it truly did change. I mean, it changed everything for me. It changed my life, which we can talk about in a little bit. But yeah, so I think just when you think about the digital landscape as a whole, whatever the platforms are, right? And for example, we're broadcasting across multiple platforms, right? IBM TV, and we're on Twitter and Facebook, and it's so many, right, that you shared with me. So the beauty about technology evolving is that it allows us to be able to connect in ways that historically we weren't able to do, right? And in times like these, now more than ever, especially in a pandemic, which no one ever could have expected, we can't go to the conferences we'd go to. We can't go and meet with prospects and clients and partners and friends. And you can't just go out and have lunch or dinner with people. It's an ordeal, right? If you can do it at all. So we all have that natural need to want to connect with one another. And I do have a degree in psychology. I won't get all psychobabble on you, but we naturally we want to have that connection with people, right? That human connection. It's so important. And so I think a lot of people, I always say there's a silver lining to everything, no matter how bad things look, no matter how bleak they may be. In this case, right, I think people are now looking at things like we're doing right now, whether that be broadcasting live through live streaming or pre-recorded video or getting on other technological platforms like Zoom and others, which allow you to have conversations, missing the physical touch, right? But everything else is there. It's an incredible gift. And I think people are realizing, wow, this isn't something that I looked at before and said, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Now it's like, no, I need that. I crave that. I need that connection, right?
Yeah, we all need that connection. There's no doubt about that. The one thing I was curious about was you're over there in California. I know that Tim Sohn, your partner in crime, is over there in Pennsylvania. So I'm sure a number of folks will be curious as to how y'all met and how y'all connected and things of that nature. He's actually watching right now. I'm seeing he's giving comments and everything. So he's definitely
awesome.
watching and checking out what we're saying and giving
us
a shout out. So definitely appreciate Tim watching and catching what's going on. But I'm sure a number of folks would like to know how y'all met. And the other thing, whenever I've watched you and watched Tim, I don't know if you have any background in comedy, if you've ever done any comedy or anything of that nature, but y'all definitely have a natural comic flair. And I actually have some friends that are stand-up comedians. So I don't know if that's anything that you've ever worked in or thought about working in, but if it's not, you should consider it.
All right, so let me answer both of those. So we'll start with Tim. So Tim is my producer. He is my partner in crime. Tim and I actually met through mutual friends, and we actually met in person for the first time at the very last conference of the year pre-COVID. It's when COVID started getting talked about. It was Social Media Marketing World, and he's amazing. He really is amazing. And I love him with all my heart. He's just such an incredible guy, and he's got two amazing daughters and a beautiful wife, and he's he's got this great personality. Like he's very dry, and yet though, and he's punchy. Like he's very quick. So that being said, in terms of the comedy stuff, so here's a little background for you guys. So I was actually I was a pound and a half miracle baby that wasn't supposed to live. I grew up with a neurological disorder called Tourette syndrome, which are uncontrollable tics and twitches. So I was weird pretty much my whole life. And sharing the story and dealing with a lot of bullying growing up, and I was always the outside kid, and last to get picked, and all that kind of stuff. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. And it wasn't until like high school that I started to slowly break out of my shell. But the comedy part is interesting because most people that have Tourette's, there's three things that I find to be in common, one or all. For me, and I was on medication for a while growing up, which was basically to be a calming mechanism. In the height of my Tourette's, and I still have Tourette's, but most people wouldn't know if you didn't know what to look for. But in the height of my Tourette's, I was somersaulting from room to room, jumping up and down, making lots of auditory noises, facial expressions, intense neck twitches, wrist flicking. A lot of times they would commingle. So, and again, you're not aware you're doing them when you can't control them. So this medicine I was taking was meant to be like this calming mechanism. It wasn't made for Tourette's. It just happened to be this something that they had given me, and it would knock me out for like 30 minutes at a time. Literally, I'd fall asleep in class. It was horrible. Side effects were horrible. And I got to a point where I said to my mom, I can't take these drugs anymore. And like any mom, she said, well, okay, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And long story short, I didn't take them anymore. And I found these natural calming mechanisms like music. I've been a musician my whole life. And every time I play, it's like I'm in another world. I can pretty much play every instrument with the exception of the winds. That's what my son plays. And so it's cool. Play all by ear. I did learn how to read because I had to growing up in a music academy, but it was kind of in one ear, out the other. I play from the heart and can pretty much jam with anyone. I just have to hear it, and then I can roll with it. So music was always a big thing. Dancing was another. I'm always said to me, I'm going to teach you how to dance, and you're going to thank me for it. All the girls are going to love you. And she was right, but I loved it. It was, and psychological looking back, it was really weird, Mark, because I wondered, when we're on a dance floor, more times than not, we're making weird noises, facial expressions, flaring our bodies in different ways, getting our groove on. And everyone's like that. Maybe I felt normal in a sea of people that didn't, because that was me all the time. So dancing was another one. And then comedy was another. And so a lot of people, not up until the last, I would say, couple years, knew that I grew up doing impressions. And I figured if people are going to make fun of me or they're going to laugh at me, why not make it on my own terms? Let me be the catalyst to, let me have some control over that, if you will. So I did impressions growing up, but it wasn't anything it was more just when people were around. I had many people over the years say, why are you not like in a studio doing this? I'm like, that's not what it's about. So fast forward to the shows, a good dear friend of ours, Stephanie Liu, had introduced us to Snapcam. And you can integrate Snapcam, which is part of Snap, and on your desktop, your laptop. And you can integrate it into other technologies, right? So when we found out about this, I'm like, we got to integrate filters into the show. And nobody is doing this on LinkedIn. It was very unique and very different. And honestly, even at one point, Tim was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, I'm like, totally. I said, I'm big on first, big on pioneering, having been a pioneer of LinkedIn video and LinkedIn Live and just doing things that people haven't done. And I said, look, now more than ever, people need to laugh. I said, this is funny. And we need light and levity and laughter, especially in a place like LinkedIn. And at the same time, yes, to social distancing. At the same time, and I think I had actually introduced social distancing before that, I looked at social distancing and said, this doesn't make any sense to me. physical distancing, social togetherness, but how can I spin that? How can I take social distancing and do something with it that brings people together? And I literally just came up with social distancing. And really what it is, people come on my shows. They have 2 LinkedIn live shows. Well, we do it across multiple destinations, but founded on LinkedIn. We're 123 episodes in for both shows, Shout Out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday Live. And I said, it'd be really cool if we just had some music and we got some dancing on together. Yes, Tim says, and how did I end up not behind? How did I end behind, not behind the curtain? Yeah. So Tim, this is actually funny. So I had brought Tim on to help me with some things because I had been doing it all by myself. And normally I love taking people behind the scenes. So that's where I love going live. So I would do that from conferences and events. And when I went to Australia to keynote, and there's all these different places, right? So that people could literally feel like they were right there with me. However, with COVID, couldn't do that. Right. So flipped the script a little bit. And I had brought Tim on with me because my signal is so bad where we live that technologically, when I tried to bring people on my show, it would crash because it couldn't handle all that bandwidth. So I had asked him, hey, after we had met, he's like, hey, if you never need any help with things, let me know. And I had another producer actually at a VP at a streaming company who was helping me. And I didn't want to, 2 live shows a week. I can't capitalize all his time. So Tim was like, hey, if you ever need any help, let me know. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, wow, great timing. So I'd love to have you help. And one time became another time, And then I started to just say, hey, Tim, why don't you come on with me? Why don't you come out from behind the curtain? And then it was just like, I'm just like, yeah, Tim, just come on with me all the time. And we just really vibed together. And with the filters, it was no holds barred. It was like, it was hilarious. And we really do have this awesome dynamic together in person. I have a very boisterous personality, and Tim's, again, kind of more mild-mannered and dry. And it's a really fun dynamic. And I like to think that I bring him out of his shell too. So we have a really, really good time together. And what turned out being a couple times became, Tim being my full-time producer in the shows, and we have so much fun together. And I so appreciate him. He's just truly, again, an incredible human being, and we have an absolute blast. And it's all about radiating positive vibes, Mark. It's like, the between the filters, between the social distancing, all of that, I just was thinking to myself, this is such a hard time that we are all in. We have no idea what's happening, no idea what's going to happen. We've never been here before. What can I do to help? How can I give, right? How can I lift people up? Because my why is to inspire one person a day. And so I'm always thinking, like, how can I do that? And we've done that. We've done that every single show. And because people have told us that. And that's...
Yeah, y'all have done a great job. I've really been impressed. And y'all have created almost like this amazing village. I know y'all got, I'm trying to think of her name, the young lady from Houston, because she's actually appeared on one of our shows here on IBM TV. And the name was almost coming to me, but it didn't quite come there. But I know she's got the vote, if that helps you any, but she's got the...
Veronica Jeans. Yeah, e-commerce, our e-commerce queen, Veronica Jeans. Yes. Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, but she was on one of these shows, but what y'all have created is so global. Like I said, I think partially because it's on LinkedIn and various other platforms, but you have folks writing you from London, from other parts of the world. So it definitely helps us connect, because I agree that so many of us are staying in the house and we're not doing enough of that connecting that we used to do pre-COVID. So it definitely is opening us up. And I'm just glad to see y'all doing this on a regular basis. As you know, I'm a big time fan and all of that. But I do want to get back to something that you said, and that's of the whole concept of how the and I hate to even use these terms, but the disorder that you had got you out and everything. Because I've actually got dysgraphia. It's a form of dyslexia. It wasn't diagnosed till I was well into my adult years and everything. And I sometimes think that our school system doesn't do a good enough job of trying to recognize these things. Or if it does recognize it, it tries to medicate it too much. So I was just wondering your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, Mark. And so one, I want you to know that that's a gift that you have. It's a gift. It's a superpower. It is something that you are blessed with, and I say that too because between the Tourette's and barely making into this world, literally, I mean, I was this big. It was a miracle that I was even able to make it, and then dealing with all of that, right? It wasn't until my very first LinkedIn video, Mark, which will be 3 years towards the end of this year, um, that I actually shared my story for the first time. And I never talked about it. It wasn't ever anything I wanted anybody to know. I mean, it went off here and there. Definitely never anything I talked about in business because I didn't want it to cloud anything. I didn't want it to affect, again, in my head, this is what I'm thinking, right? I didn't want it to affect anything, impact anything. I didn't want people to look at me different or treat me different. And it was the first time that I finally felt like I was all of me here, right? Like it wasn't just this is my persona here, this is my persona there. It was this is me. And it was really emotional. It was really hard. It was scared. I was scared to all get up to do it. And all the love, support, and encouragement that I got, so many people saying how inspired they were and thanking me for sharing the story because it helped them in what they were going through. It changed everything. It was when I realized that again, it was a gift, and it was something that I should be. I was given it with a purpose, and the purpose was to share it, and not to share me, but to share the story to help someone else. So educationally, I'm with you 100%, and I've done some speaking around this. In that, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I grew up going mostly to private schools, and then I actually went to the last 3 years, yeah, 3, 4 years of my schooling. I decided I wanted to go to public schools. I wanted to be around more people. Again, a shift comparatively. Um, but I required a lot of attention. I had a hard time focusing. I was like squirrel. It was like and retaining information. Forget it. I mean, it was so hard for me. So there are different things that you can do to help, but when it comes to schooling in general, when it comes to um, it's hard, right, Mark? I mean, especially if you're talking about huge classes. I mean, and getting extra help and yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic. I'm really fortunate. I mean, my mom spent so much time with me when I was a kid.
Wow.
I mean, we had to learn in very different ways. She would spend hours and hours with me. I mean, I remember being up late at night and just losing it. I'm like, I'm just so tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And she'd say, get up and go run around the block and then come back and we'll hit it again. This is like 11 o'clock at night, But those are the kind of things that would need to do to help get me refocused. So I've known so many people that have so many gifts like you and like me, Mark, and we don't always think about it that way. So anybody that's out there that has what you consider to be a disability, I want you to realize that you're not disabled. You're differently abled, and you were given that gift for a reason. And to share that, there's plenty of people we know that are doing it all the time. And David Riley, who is incredible. He's from Scotland. He's on LinkedIn, and he's in your camp, and I'm so inspired by him. The fact that he shows up and he's consistently showing up and he's sharing, and he's been on the show a bunch of times too. And I love it. I want people to feel empowered. I want them to feel like they can in this digital world that we live in. Right. I mean, if you're not showing up, you're not seen and heard. And if you're not seen and heard, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's a very good point that you made and everything. I was actually just thinking as you were talking that I've got a friend that teases me sometimes, and I don't know if it's because of disability or just because of my unique personality. I think that we all have unique personalities, and I actually enjoy my unique personality because I'm a big fan of animals. Y'all know that from some of the comments I make on your show and everything. So I'll be out with this particular friend, and a dragonfly will come going by, and they'll be like, they call it like my squirrel moment or the dragonfly moment, because the conversation might be something real deep. The dragonfly will fly by, and I'll be like, "Whoops, there's the dragonfly." So,
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it. I love you, Mark. You're awesome.
yep. Sometimes you're just observing things, and sometimes those observations might come out of nowhere to the average person. Because I think that's why that particular friend teases me. Because, like I said, the conversation might be around one thing, but then something else distracts me, and it centers my attention away from that. So
Yeah,
I think that happens on occasion, and
absolutely.
so I've got a couple of friends that tease me about that. So they are used to it, because I think they've gotten used to that as being part of the nature of my personality.
Absolutely. And that's okay, right? So Tim wants to know what you're serving at the dinner party tonight.
Well,
What
the
are we
dinner
chowing
party,
on?
we're gonna have to figure out something, because actually, I just did not change the title, because the Monday show is the radio show with Mark Lee, and I had not made the change and everything, so I actually didn't go correct that, Tim, just to make sure that folks know they're on the right show. Because Monday night or Monday afternoon is the radio show with Mark Lee,
So
Mullins
nice.
Music and Memories, which is the later one, and then Wednesday is the online dinner party, complete with the trivia game. So definitely, if you sit there, you can watch the trivia game. I had a contest where you had to guess a historical figure that was had a lion as their pet, and I will tell you that they were from France. So that ought to narrow it down some. But I've mentioned that to a few folks, and of course, you can go back and watch the back issue and find out who that person was. But so far, I've had 4 contests, and I thought they were relatively simple, because I gave them a bunch of clues that would usually run on Wednesday through the show, and nobody's got it yet. So I'm gonna have to find some more simpler folks, because maybe I'm just outsmarting folks.
It's great. I love it. I love
Yeah.
that you do that. You know, it makes it very interactive, brings people together, which is what it's all about, right?
Oh, that's totally what it's all about, and trying to get folks to interact. Y'all do a great job of that as well. Because like I said, whether it's the social distancing, whether it's the Saturday show, but it definitely is always getting folks engaged. And I think that that's the important part. Is that the first thing that you learned in terms of media, and in terms of particularly this digital media, that you felt was the best way to get people? And is that what you try to encourage folks when you're being this kind of like motivator in the digital space? Because I'm finding more and more of us are going into that digital space because of COVID, and because of folks being at home. So what are some of the lessons that you've learned that you try to pass on to folks?
Yeah, really good question. So, yes, now more than ever, absolutely. People are getting more and more online, present, live streaming, video, etc. But I will say, I mean, I think that the important part is realizing that, like I say, these companies create these digital platforms, right? These digital playgrounds, if you will. And then we, as the kindergartners, decide to show up and play. It's our choice, right? So thank you, Tim. David is incredible. We decide if we want to go play, right? But every one of these platforms is about one thing and one thing only. It's about the people, right? I mean, they don't become what they are unless the people show up, the people engage, the people come together. And I always say incredible things happen when people come together. So 100%, it's, I don't know, I think for me, it's always been about, again, in the later years, I want to bring people together. And I've always looked for ways to do that, be it physically or be it digitally. And absolutely, What's Good Wednesday, Shout Out Saturday, both of those shows have nothing to do with me. They have everything to do with the community, right? With the LinkedIn fam, and bringing people together and sharing the good and that's happening in their world, or happening in the world, right? Because there's always a silver lining. Or Shout Out Saturday, which is all about shouting out those people that have made a positive impact in your life the last week, right? Think about this pandemic we're in. I mean, it's really hard to stay positive,
Right.
really hard, right? But if you take it off of you and you put it on others, right? So like focusing on the good, that's a positive thing, puts you in a better spirit, a better light, thinking in a more positive direction, right? Shout Out Saturday is giving gratitude. Well, you always feel good when you give gratitude to someone or for someone. So I think thinking about those things just dynamically. And by the way, this is really cool because someone had asked on one of the shows, wow, 123 weeks, that's crazy. Have you ever looked at the numbers? And I'm like, yeah, because Shout Out Saturday just started like this, Mark. It was literally me getting on video chats with people during the week, and I'm like, these are amazing human beings. I want to give them some love. I want to shout them out, and that's what it became. So it's like 232 weeks and over 22,150 video chats and calls and hugs in real life pre-COVID, and then thousands and thousands of comments, right, of people sharing the love and the gratitude for all of those that have made a positive impact in their life. Like, that's impact to me. So I think more people are showing up that way. When you ask the question, what is it I try and share on a regular basis? That's one of those things, is that the most important thing is, remember, it's about the people. Like, focus on the people, strategically, when you're looking at your heart-centered content marketing strategy, the community should be a really big part of that, right? Whether it's video or text or whatever form you may be doing that in, that's a really important one. And I'm really proud of so many people that have done that, right? Because it brings us together. We all want to be a part of something. And I think that's an incredible way to be able to do that, whether it's live or otherwise. But live is definitely superseding native or pre-recorded video. I remember, because you're a fan of metrics too, this was pre-COVID, but HubSpot did a study that said 54% of consumers want to see more video content from brands and businesses that they support. And they went on and predicted that video would account for 70% of all mobile traffic by next year. Now, again, these are all pre-COVID. Everything is skewed to the guild, right? Because everybody's online all the time. But I think, I always say it's the heart of it all that matters, and especially in these times that we're in and coming out of it, because we'll never be where we were before. It's a very different world now. It'll be a very different world as we go forward. And again, for silver lining for the good, I think that the growth of video as a part of a brand's heart-centered content marketing strategy will continue to increase. I do think there'll be a continued concentration on LinkedIn for sure, because more and more people will start to realize that it's heart first, human first. It's about the people. It's before the role, the title, the job, the company. It's about being human with a heartbeat first. The more people that get that and realize that's how you build relationships, no matter what platform or no matter where you are, right? That's where you start, and you share your stories and the journey and your vibes, as I say, and and that's what brings us together. That's what connects us, right? Like, I loved your vibe first time you came on the show and Tim brought you on. I'm like, this dude is so cool. Like, I love his twang, and he's just positive and happy, and he's got a great beard and a great smile, and yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely. That's the way I felt about you as well. I'm sitting there going like, I got to find a way to get to Brian so I can actually meet him in person. Because like I said, I was feeling that same spirit and that same vibe with you. So definitely the love is definitely shared across the platform. Like I said, I just think Tim is amazing, and I've definitely grown to love you as well. So I just think y'all are some great and amazing folks. What are some of the things in terms of the digital platform that you see that are errors that people make that they should correct? Because like I said, you've been in this game for a while. So what are some of the things that you see that you would like folks to correct, or that you try to point them in a more positive direction at? Because I know you're all about positivity, and me as well, but I do know that there are ways that we can all improve. So what are some of the things that you see that you would like folks to improve on?
Yeah, so I think, and I'm gonna focus on LinkedIn for a second, just because I think it's a really important thing to note on that platform. Positive is important because positivity gravitates positivity. More importantly is what I just mentioned, and how you connect with people, how you build your relationships. Start with a human first approach. Don't just start jamming business down people's throats. Like, you wouldn't ever walk to somebody, in person. And yes, Tim said, don't be a salesy weirdo. You wouldn't just, it happens all the time. I have thousands of invites in my inbox at any given time. And I would say normally there's rarely any personalized invites. Thankfully, it started to change. The challenge is this: they're all selling me in the invite, literally. And all I'm sitting here thinking to myself is somebody, a bunch of people took a bad class that taught them the wrong things, because it's the same messaging coming across. And that's just, again, I wouldn't walk up to you, Mark, in a room, hand you a contract and go sign this without even saying hi or introducing yourself or myself. I'd see you across the room and just walk up to you and go, I love your beard. I had to walk up to you and say hey and introduce myself. Like that. That's how you do it. And again, think about the times that we're in. Right. I mean, reach out to someone and say, hey, I saw this great video you posted. It really touched me, and thank you. I needed that, whatever. Or, I hope you're staying safe in these times we're in. I'm sending you and your family all the good vibes, near and far. Like, that's what's important. I mean, don't bifurcate that, what we're all going through, because literally we're all growing through this, right? We're all experiencing this. We're all in pain. We're all in fear. We're all experiencing so many feelings, and you need to recognize that you can't just do business like it's 6 months ago. It's not. Yeah. Right. So I think that's the most important thing I would say is don't operate like you used to pre-COVID. And don't do it going forward either. Because this is not something you just snap your fingers and goes away. It's not something you just snap your fingers and we're okay. In here and out here. So be human with a heartbeat. And the most important thing is just care about people.
Yeah, and speaking of caring about folks and everything, I did want to ask you, and this is getting away a little bit from the marketing, but I know that over there in California, a number of folks are concerned about not just COVID, but the fires as well. So how is that impacting your career, your business, and even your families and everything? Because I do know that is something that a lot of folks around the globe are seeing. They're seeing that California isn't just dealing with the COVID crisis, it's all over the world, but they're also dealing with the fires. So I don't know where you are in relationship to those fires.
Yeah, so we're in Southern California in San Diego, and we have fires burning in San Diego. There were like hundreds of fires burning in Northern California. My wife and my daughter and my son, my daughter's a sophomore in college and my son's a senior in high school, and they were doing some college tours, and the fires are really bad out there. So yes, the fires are bad. They're affecting people just like COVID is. I mean, it was 115 degrees here the last couple of days. The world is literally freaking out. It is. I mean, the world itself, full of people too, but everything is turned upside down. So it's affecting everything for sure. So, but I appreciate your asking. Thank you. Thankfully we're safe. But honestly, it's day to day, Mark. You just never know what's going to happen one day to the next. There's an asteroid coming. Every day it's something different. It's like, aliens are here. You got to expect anything is going to happen. I mean, and it's something we're all going to look at and go, oh, okay. Whereas before would be like, wait, what? Yeah. Now we expect, okay, anything's going to happen.
Anything can happen. You're right. I did hear about that asteroid that was on its way. They say that it's going to miss us and that we'll be all right. But then, it's liable to graze us because science is not always exact. So right. I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't graze the earth or do something else weird. And
it did too. There was actually, I remember reading about this, aside from the one they're saying is coming, that it already happened once. They didn't even know it was happening, and they only were able to realize it after the fact. And they said it was so close. It's wild.
Yeah, and it's just weird altogether. Because I know I was reading yesterday about the I think it's the typhoon that's getting ready to hit Tokyo, and and millions of people evacuate there. So it's not just here in the United States, but it's globally that we're seeing a number of things that are kind of off kilter or kind of weird and everything. So I think that you have to have that kind of personality that you, me, and Tim have, where you just kind of like roll with the punches, but at the same time try to be. I also have a little bit of an activist spirit in me as well, and to some degree, I think both you and Tim do also. So I think that you kind of roll with the punches, but you also exercise some of that activism in whatever way that activism is going to be exercised. I know that I've got a number of friends that have been involved in everything from labor movements, but the Fight for 15 to BLM, Black Lives Matters movement kind of stuff. So I'm definitely about trying to support them in one way or the other. Sometimes it's out there actually doing the physical marching. Sometimes it's just being a behind the scenes person to give them help in whatever ways I can. So do you consider yourself an activist as well? Or do you consider yourself something that's not something that you do a lot about? It sounds like you're very activist in terms of like dealing with health and even academics in health. So I was just wondering, when you think of yourself, do you think of yourself as an activist?
I think of myself as a supporter of humankind. And so, in terms of the death of George Floyd and just everything that has happened. I mean, you think about literally everything that has happened and continues to go on. I always say you have a voice and a story that matters, and that your voice and story can positively affect, impact, and inspire another human being's life by showing up and, by using that voice. And I think there's so many different ways to do that. And I have done that. I've been on different shows and been a part of different conversations, whether it be around Black Lives Matter, be around women empowerment, it be around so many different things. I just announced today I'm going to be a part of a global conference, which is all about women empowerment, which I'm honored to be a part of, amongst some other great things coming up. So, yeah, I think again, if you have a voice, I always say use that voice for the good, right? You got to have those conversations, and they're not always easy. They're not always fun. But the more conversations that we have together, which is what it's all about, right? It's coming back together, recognizing things and recognizing people, and that, yes, but, all lives can't matter until Black Lives matter. It's so. Hopefully it answers your question a little bit, but
no, that definitely answers my question. It shows that you're definitely a person that's out there concerned about those issues, and definitely are finding a way to use your voice, whether it's around women empowerment, as you just said, or whether it's around Black Lives Matter. But it definitely shows that you're one who is passionate about these issues and everything. I said earlier I was going to ask about this, but how are you coping with the children being in the house and everything? Because, like I said, there are 4 of y'all there. I think you were hoping that at least one of them was going to be off in college, but that hasn't quite happened because they are still in the house, and who knows whether the high school one will make it to college based on what's going on with COVID and everything. But how are y'all coping as a family? I mean, definitely everything I've seen is just like Tim's family. It's a very loving family, but I do know that y'all were probably looking ready to let one fly the nest.
Yeah, it's. I mean, my daughter. So my daughter, like I said, is a sophomore. She's actually in junior college. She had gotten accepted to 9 schools across the country and decided to bank her scholarships, and it was really adult decision, and save her money and then transfer. So obviously it's all physically dependent upon how we come out of this in terms of timing. But I think both the kiddos will fly the coop. I'm excited and sad at the same time. And they're both digitally in tune just from a schooling perspective. Thankfully, their schools jumped pretty quickly in evolving, whereas others didn't know what to do or how to do. So I'm really, really grateful and thankful for that. And they both seem to be, I think it's always tough, especially for kids, not to be able to be with their peeps all the time. But they have those opportunities, they're safe and have those opportunities to get together with their friends in safe environments and such. So that's good too. But that's something too in this whole pandemic where, again, silver lining, people are spending more time together as a family. They're also pulling their hair out more because it's like, you're where there was a big gap during the day. Well, now you're all together. But as my dear friend Winnie Sun was saying on one of her shows the other day, she's like, find those spots that you have to to do that work, right? And it's not your bedroom, it's somewhere else or whatever it is. And it's kind of like working from home, like define those spaces and those times. And it helps to make things a little bit easier in transformation. But yeah, so we're good. We're good.
That's good. I'm glad y'all are doing good. Now, I'm a sports fan. I mentioned that earlier. I've been following the Clippers. I want the Doc to get one more title. He got one with Boston. I know that's a tall order because they got to get past Denver, and Denver looks like they want to give them fits. And definitely, if that happens, they got to get past either the Lakers or Houston. So that's just to make it to the championship, much less what might face them out of the other conference. But I was wondering, are you a sports fan, and do you have any certain teams that you root for, either in football, basketball, or baseball? Or for that matter, I know one of my producers is all into cricket because he's from India. So I don't know if you follow any of those sports, either international sports.
Well, I grew up in LA, so I grew up going to Dodger games and Laker games. I didn't go to Kings games. My wife's a huge hockey fan, which is a whole other dynamic with what's going on. Like months of hockey every single day. Like she's loving it. But yeah, honestly, ever since I had kids, it was like, okay, this is my focus. It's like I took time away, wasn't focusing on sports and everything. And I always love big games. Like I watch the Super Bowl, we'll watch the end of seasons and such. But I've caught a couple bits and bytes from a hockey point of view. I did go to a couple Clippers games growing up, but that was a long time ago. So yeah.
Well, the Clippers are an interesting team. I don't know about you, but like I said, I've watched over the last couple of weeks some of those NBA games, and it's just kind of surreal watching the fans watch from their home because you see them holding the dog, you see them dropping drinks, and you sit there going like, it adds a nice little touch to it, but it's also a weird touch.
Yeah, I was going to say it's an interesting dynamic, right? The fact that I remember watching a couple baseball games actually just because they happened to be on, and I'm like, I'm going to check this out. I've got the cardboard cutouts because there's nobody in the stadiums, no matter what sport they are. So they've got all the cardboard cutouts, which is really funny. One of them showed Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's, if you've ever seen the movie, like, as a cutout, and like, and they're digitally chiming in fans so that they can root on as if they were in the stadium, which I thought was really, really cool to do. So I think it's awesome how they've done what they can, not only for the fans, but for the players, right? Because the players are used to lots of noise and all of that as a dynamic in the game. So I like how that's kind of morphed. Just like we talk about schooling and having to change and all of that. By the way, shout out to all the teachers and parents who have become teachers in these times. Like, I think there is a much fonder appreciation, a much deeper appreciation for teachers now more than ever, which I'm so glad about. Again, silver lining, and hopefully they're paid appropriately because of it, because parents now understand, what they're how underpaid teachers truly are raising our kids during the day.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think it was the director or the producer, Shonda Rhimes, that made a quote about that when COVID first started, because she had made a comment about that she now had a greater respect for teachers and that they deserved much more money than they were actually getting paid. I forgot what figure she may have thrown out there, but she definitely, as one that is in that Hollywood kind of environment, understood that teachers are way underpaid and definitely need to get paid a lot more. So I agree with you on that we got to get the teachers some better pay, as well as a lot of other folks that are underpaid.
Oh yeah.
So we definitely got to do that. Now, is your wife also involved in digital media, or does she do something different? Because I know that Tim's wife, I want to say, is a teacher, if I remember.
She is a teacher. Yeah. Shout out to Tim's wife, Joy. She's amazing. Again, you putting your lives at risk the way that you are. Yeah. So she's a teacher. All parents are teachers. But Tim's wife, Joy, is an actual teacher. Yes. That's what she does for a living. She's awesome. No, my wife is the opposite spectrum of me when it comes to digital. We are yin and yang in that respect. She actually had been in retail management her entire career. I actually worked for her in high school, believe it or not, at a men's store called Structure. When it used to be Structure, it was part of the Limited brand, and then all of that happened. But I was a sales guy on the floor, and she was the GM in the store. And yeah, we've been married 21 years this year. So yeah, so that's the world that she's lived in. Obviously, being affected by COVID, retail's gotten hit so hard. Interestingly enough, we were driving by the mall the other day, and most malls are ghost towns, and they turned the parking lot, and this is happening a lot. They turned the parking lot into a drive-in. Right. So they have a huge digital screen they've put in the lot, and they've gated it off and such. And on it they have pictures of movies that they're going to play, and it's like $50 a car or something like that. And yeah, I think it's great. Again, silver lining, right? I mean, I remember going to the drive-in when I was a kid. I'm like, and then they disappeared, and kind of like roller skating rinks. It's like, bring all this stuff back. I mean, so much fun.
Yeah, the roller skate rink, I'd have no problem with bringing that back. Of course, I'll probably be on my backside. So I might try to still put a roller skate on, but I know me, I would probably be sitting there on the butt, sitting there going like, I can't believe that I'm sitting here and I just fell down. But and of course, at that point, that's going to be when the teenager is like the superstar is going to come skating by, taunting you, and I'm going to be like, look, I'm the old man. I'm trying.
Well, look, everything comes back full circle, right? It's like I know that they're going to come back, but it's it's awesome.
Now the thing I got to ask is because I know Tim's a big time fan and definitely my show, and definitely I'm a fan of y'all's, as I have said before. But he's always talking about. And we've got him here in North Carolina too. But he's always talking about that he's over there in Pennsylvania with the bears and these other animals, and of course we've got deers and things of that nature. So, are there any animals other than maybe the butterflies and other things that are actually popping up in the cities of California, or y'all like leaving them all alone, or you actually seeing dolphins or any other animals? Because when I think there's going to be some animals in California.
I got to tell you, if we see dolphins in the streets, then there's a really big problem. But I think, coyotes, you'll see coyotes. Like we live up in the hills, and we hear coyotes and all that. Tim actually shared a video like of bears crossing the street and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, up here, like coyotes are something that we see. Don't see bears. No. Not in these parts, but yeah. So, and obviously, dogs and cats and those kind of things. But yeah,
the regular pets. But y'all haven't had any New York moments, because I remember
no lions, tigers, and bears. No.
I was actually thinking of the New York moment, because the mythology was always that there would be like the alligator that was stuck in the bathrooms of New York or things of that nature. But that was like some of those urban myths. So are there any Southern Cal urban myths around animals, or just in general? I'm sure there got to be some good Southern Cal myths.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm sure there are. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I mean, we've got the Wild Animal Park. We've got the zoo here. Thankfully, I haven't heard about any, escapes or anything, anything like that. But yeah, now you're going to make me look. I'm sure Tim is looking it up right now, and he'll drop
Tim's probably checking it out right now. He's already given a shout out. He's already given a shout out to the coyotes, so I'm sure he's looking up stuff as well. So he's
shout out to Tim, by the way. He's blowing up the comments.
He's find out whether it exists or not. So definitely appreciate him checking that and everything. But see, I'm already worried, Brian, because one of the things I'm thinking is that based on the personality I've seen of you on your show and just what I'm gathering of you, I'm afraid that if a lion or a tiger breaks out, you're going to harbor them. You're going to be like harbor in the backyard. You're going to keep them in the backyard. You're going to kind of protect them from getting recaptured. So I can see you as being like the one sitting there going like, 'cause you definitely have that warm heart. That's the impression I get from both you and Tim. So I can see the lion and the tiger basically give you that poor pity look, and you'd be like, look, I got a backyard back here, so you can feel back here.
You can come hang out here. Come on. I'm not sure how my HOA would feel about that, but yeah.
Yeah, the HOA.
But it's true. Like my kids, especially my daughter, she's got such a soft spot. Both my kids do for animals, and like we'll see dogs in the neighborhood, and they get lost. This has happened a couple times over the years, and they'll grab them and literally just start going around the neighborhood, house to house to house to house. Is this your dog? Is this your dog? Is this your dog? Is this your dog? And then nobody answers, and we hold on to the dog, and then finally we find them, or they find us, and yeah. So
No, I can relate to that. My dad, who is still living, he's turned 80 back in June. But I remember he one time found a turtle, and he's always had a love for turtles. He's got a love for a lot of animals. But turtle is a very special animal that had a number of them. He's had everything from a giant tortoise to little small turtles. But one time he found a turtle, and the turtle had broken its leg. And so, and it didn't last long after he did this, but he actually put like little small wheels on the turtle in order to keep the turtle alive. And I think he's even got pictures of that somewhere. So I'm gonna have to find that at some point. But he had the little wheel on the turtle and kept the turtle alive for at least a little bit longer. But he was feeling sorry for the turtle. The turtle broke his leg, and he's figured he'd give him turtle wheelchair. Like
that's awesome. I remember my kids. So we used to have ivy all over our house, and there would be little nests, and I loved it. We had little nests of birdies, and yeah, Jim, right? Who let you out of your cage, Jim? Yeah, so it fell, and there was a baby birdie, and my kids were little. They were little, and I remember I had pictures, and I had wrote stories about it on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, on Facebook, because I saw it pop up in my memories, and just my kids with their huge hearts, oh, the babies, and we tried to do everything we could to help, and yeah, so it's I think soft spots for animals. That's really cool, though. Baby turtle with the wheel. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just great. Like I said, I got to ask Dad if he still got the picture of that, but I know that I had it at one point and he had passed it around. So I need to dig through my emails or also see if he still got it. Because like I said, that was a number of years back, but he definitely did that. And unfortunately, his big land tortoise, which was it kept in the backyard in a doghouse, but that was Buttercup. So like I said, we never were very original in naming our animals. Like I said, I don't know where Dad came up with Buttercup for the name for the turtle, because I don't remember it being like a really Buttercup kind of color or anything. But just to tell you how unoriginal we were with dogs and everything, and if Tim was here on the call with us, he'd get a kick out of this as well. I know he is, in terms of like checking us out online and everything. But we had two dogs. One was black, one was brown. Can you guess their names?
Blackie and Brownie. Chocolate and was that it? So we had two dogs. We have one now. Unfortunately, we lost one to cancer last year, and they were brother and sister, two Shih Tzus. They said they came from the same litter. You'd never know it. I mean, one was much bigger than the other, but they were adorable. And I remember we brought them home as babies, and there was little bars of fur just bouncing around all over the place. And we waited a week because we wanted to see what stuck. Like, what were we going to name them? And at the end of the day, it came down to chaos and mayhem.
I like it.
And they totally fit, like the most lovable pups ever. But they were chaotic, and they were definitely mayhem, and yeah.
I can definitely relate to that. We're actually, my brother has always had dogs. My dad, after Coffee passed away, never got another dog, and Coffee's been gone now for a long time. And Mom was living in Winston-Salem, so that's probably almost 20 years ago, and she had Jet, but she never had a dog since then. I mean, my brother might drop dogs off, but they went and got two dogs recently, and they're going to leave one of the dogs with Mom. So I was talking to Mom about that, and I'm saying, you sure that this is what you want to do? And I think that she's looking forward to it, because she's had the swimming pool. She had a couple of other amenities, her garden. And of course, swimming pool is about to be closed up because of the summer. Garden season, flower season about to be done. So when I was talking to her, she was like, yeah, it's about time for me to get that dog, and that'll be my companion and everything. So she's definitely looking forward to that. But like I said, it's been 20 years since she's had a dog, so
Mm.
I'm thinking that the first time, and it might have been even more than 20 years, but I'm thinking the first time that that dog does something wrong, she might be calling my younger brother, being like, "I changed my mind. Can we? Can you take the dog back?" But I think it's a no return clause. I think it's a no
Yeah,
return clause.
I think so too. I will say though, like animals are amazing. You know, I remember saying to my wife, and I had a dog growing up as a kid, and was around like 13, 14 when he had to go on his way, and I had said to my wife, I knew when we got our pups, I'm like, I'm just dreading the end. I'm dreading the end because I know, especially with kids, you know, I know how hard that is, and not to bring us on a downer, but my son and I, we took her to we didn't want her to suffer anymore, mayhem, and we both took her together to put her to sleep, and it was hard, but it was good. You know, we spent the time with her, and we both were there when they put her down, and we had a good cry together, and stayed after, and you know, it's I think the important thing is to remember all the memories, right? It's about the journey and all the time that you have together, not the end. And so, you know, while it's hard, right? I mean, that's life, right? We don't live forever. We don't live forever, so we have to enjoy the time that we have. We have to make the most of the time that we have, and so
Wait a
yeah.
minute, Brian. We don't live forever. I was going for 200. I've already told Tim. I've set this goal of 200. I mean, it's next to
Hey man,
impossible. I'm
hey man,
50.
if you figure that out, give me some of that my way.
Well, like I said, I'm trying to figure it out. I think I told my dad that because, like I said, he just turned 80, and I think I wrote either this year or last year when he turned 79. I was like, I need to figure out your secret to the fountain of youth, and he wrote me back with like some little slick answer, like something to the effect of, "It's very simple, but if I told you, then you might not be surprised at what it is," or something like that. So it was very kind of suspect the way he gave the answer, because it was kind of like, basically, it was almost like the spies that tell you, "I can tell you, but if I tell you, you might be in trouble."
Right. I love it. I
So I'm
love
sitting
it.
there going like, there's got to be a solution. You got to be able to tell me what it is. I know there's an answer there somewhere, but you're so right about pets. Like I said, Dad's not had coffee for years, and so, but I still remember even when I was living with my younger brother, and we lived one street over from my dad at the time, and literally when either he would start his car or my dad would start his car, coffee would come sprinting out of the house, jumping into the car, and basically be looking at you like, "Where we going? I know we
Yeah,
going. Where we going? Did
that's
I say you could
awesome.
leave without me?"
I love that.
So, the animals are just wonderful, and I love the spirit of animals and things of that nature. But coming back to the digital media and everything, and I do want to get ready to wrap up with you very shortly and
Yeah.
everything, but how can folks learn more about the different things that you've got coming up? How can they learn about the different projects? You mentioned the women's conferences you got. You mentioned, I'm sure there's some other ones, but what are some of the things where folks can catch Brian at? And also, if folks are wanting to do something with the LinkedIn, because like I said, I told you before, I'm thinking there must be, speaking of secret codes, there must be a secret code in order to become a LinkedIn influencer, other than like applying about a dozen times or 100 times, and then maybe they pull your name out of the hat. But there's got to be some secret, because like I said, not just here on IBM TV, but on a number of other platforms, I've had friends that have been like, I keep applying, I've not gotten in yet. So there's got to be a secret in order to be a LinkedIn influencer. So if you share some of those with us, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of LinkedIn Live, so LinkedIn Live is it's something that's actually still in beta. It's being piloted. It's live streaming with, I'd say, a few broadcasters. There's less than 500 of us out of 675 to 700 million people on the platform, so worldwide. So the feature isn't available to all members or pages. But if you want to request access to become a live video broadcaster on LinkedIn, I will share the link. I'll go back and replay, Mark. It'll let me know where I can go, probably the Facebook side. So I'll share the link to where you can apply. What I would say first and foremost is don't be discouraged if your application is denied. Please don't, because most people's applications get denied multiple times over and over and over again. So that would be the first thing to just know is, okay, hey, you're just like everybody else in that respect. What I would say, though, is if your application is denied, here's a couple tips. Tip one is go live on other platforms. So show LinkedIn that you're already creating video content, live video content. So I suggest live streaming on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, to name a few. Make sure it's set to public so that Tim is killing me. So that you can share those links in your application. It's a pretty lengthy application, and you want to share that kind of stuff. So that would be tip one. Tip two is create native videos on LinkedIn. You want to create and upload native videos on LinkedIn and show LinkedIn that you know how to create videos. Now, the cool thing is tip one helps you accomplish tip two. Use your live video broadcast and slice those up into micro content, 60 seconds or less, for LinkedIn video clips, right? And make sure you call that out when you share it. Great show today, episode 123 on Facebook, YouTube, and yada, yada, right? And share that on LinkedIn, right? Sorry, we weren't able to go live on LinkedIn. Don't have access yet, but we keep applying, right? That way they know. So definitely realize tip two helps you do tip one. And then tip three is engage on other live streams on LinkedIn, right? So when you engage with other people's live streams on LinkedIn, it grows your tribe. You'll better understand the feature. It also shows that you're invested, right? Also ask to be guests on LinkedIn live host shows, right? Because the worst thing that happens, you got a 50-50 shot. They're going to say yes or say no. But if you don't ask, you're 100% in the no. Right. So always ask. When you show up on other people's live shows, as Marc knows, LinkedIn sees that, right? And it tells them the type of vibe that you have and how you flow in conversation. They want to know that too, right? Four is don't be discouraged. So take actions on 1, 2, and 3, those tips I gave you. And then reapply, share those links to your shows, keep those things in the application. And in the meantime, go and support others, build your tribe. Again, go back, engage in the post, let them know you're appreciating their content. You don't have to be there the whole time. Just show up, give some support, slam those reaction buttons, hang out for a little bit, and then you can roll out. So that's around LinkedIn Live. If it's in terms of LinkedIn in general, like if you've been on LinkedIn for years, but you just look at it like a digital resume and a place to look for a job, and now you realize it's this full-on engagement platform. I had a LinkedIn Jumpstart course that I created last year with a dear friend of mine, Rob Balasabas, fellow creator and just very dear friend. It's a 15 free lesson course filled with nuggets to get you what I would say newbies to LinkedIn started. So even if you are new, and it's linkedinmasterclass.thinkific.com. Again, I'll share these for you, Marc, and so that you have them, and then we'll put them in the comments. And the other thing too is, if anyone's out there that has questions about how to LinkedIn video or LinkedIn Live for you, your business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a C-suite exec, you're part of a team. Yes, shout out to the motorcycle that's by your place. And you want to talk video strategy, live or native, I would love to chat with you. So you can schedule a free 15-minute consultation call with me. It's calendly.com/voiceyourvibe. And again, I'll make sure you have all these. The last one is this before I choke here. Come join me as a guest on one of my 2 LinkedIn live shows. Have some fun. It's all about fun. There is no, Marc will tell you, there's no pressure. It's Shout Out Saturday Live each week, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and What's Good Wednesday Live on Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. We have a good time. We're sharing gratitude. We're sharing love. We're talking about the good. We're doing some social distancing together. We have fun with filters. Again, you walk away smiling, laughing, and if anything, for just a brief moment, not thinking about this crazy world and a pandemic that we're all growing through together. So that's really the whole mission is helping to make sure people are feeling a little bit better. We've literally had people come on the show that were depressed and have left saying, I feel so much better. And so that means everything. Like, to me, that's impact. Like, it's incredible.
Oh, no, that's a great impact. There's no doubt that y'all are having a great impact on folks all the time. I do have to tease you about something because I'm thinking it's a California thing, because we have a guy that comes on our Tuesday show. They do a whole celebrity thing on Tuesdays on one of our IBM TV platforms, Henning Morales. And he's always talking about his tribe as well. So I'm beginning to think this whole tribe thing is a California thing. Do all you folks in California think about tribes?
Well, again, my company is Voice Your Vibe. I always say your vibe attracts your tribe, and uh, and we all have tribes, right? We all have tribes that are literally out there waiting for us. All I got to do is show up, right? Show up and voice your vibe, and that's what you're doing, Mark, and that's what I do, and that's what I love, and I love inspiring other people to do too, because I think a lot of times we're out there going, well, who's going to care what I have to say, or I don't know how to show up, or the reality is you just all you got to do is be you, right? I mean, that's the most important thing is just show up and be you, because being yourself is the best thing that you can be. You don't have to overthink it. Oh, thank you, Tim. I appreciate you, man. Shout out to the fun. Yes, the tribes and the vibes and the hot dogs and all the things. So yeah, just know that everyone has different vibes. Gary Vee had a great post this morning. He said, so many stay in one lane. And I say this too, and it's awesome. I love that we have that same wavelength. Or they're about one thing. And every time they're out there posting in whatever form it is, it all looks the same. And he said, we all have many sides to us. As I always say, we all have different vibes. And feel free to expand on those, because the more sides of you that you show, regardless of the platform, especially, the more opportunities you give yourself to meet and connect with people, and your niche, right, as a personal brand, is just being yourself. It's just being you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, that's so important to be you and to connect with folks in that way and everything. Just real quick and everything, is there any folks that are been on that platform, whether it's the Wednesday one or the Saturday one, that shocked you, or that you were surprised by their reaction to you or their story? I mean, I definitely mentioned Veronica Jean. I think that she's just a character and everything. But are there others that you always are glad to see their spirit when they come on, or that you really have connected with? So if you want to give some of those folks a shout out, you can do that definitely on this platform as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we love Veronica Jean. She's just always so much fun. She's got this incredibly contagious laugh and smile, and Molly, her giraffe, comes with her, and so much fun. Nancy Lewis Hill is amazing. Her wittiness is like razor sharp. She's just awesome, and she has so much fun. Oh my gosh, there's Wendy Glavin. Love having Wendy on the show. We have our friend Laura Nutt from the Nut House in Texas. Hashtag Wham Bam Honey Jam. Like, she's just a riot. Yeah, I mentioned David Riley. Like, there's so many people that show up on the show, and we have a good time together, and they have Rob Howes, like, just people that come on and have got they're just exuding all this awesome energy and good vibes and fun. And, it's interesting. I mean, Tim and I both have come on the show, and there'll be days where we're just not feeling it. It's a hard time in this pandemic, and one of us will lift the other, or our guests, more importantly, will lift us up. The other day we had, I think, 12 guests on the show, and it was just such an awesome show and so much fun together. And again, lifting one another's spirits and having fun. And, right now more than ever, we need that. I think it's the most important thing. Like, we need to laugh more. We need to smile more. It's okay to cry. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to feel like it's just, there's no end in sight. But I think personally, I've found that it's the opposite that helps me get through it, which is, I mean, I've definitely had my moments of losing it and breaking down, but the laughing, and it feeds my soul, and I know it feeds Tim's soul, and so many others, both that I've mentioned and others that have showed up. So, I always recommend people show up, and come on the show and have a good time with us, because it's it's fun, it's different, it's not what you expect. We have people that'll show up in the comments and they're like, what is happening right now? Like, what the heck is this? And I love that, right? Because it's something you just don't, especially on LinkedIn, you don't expect to see. You don't expect to see Michael Jackson. You don't expect to see bananas and fruit and underpants and like the most random things. Shout out to our friends at Snap for all the cool filters that we use on the show that make us laugh, right, and everybody else. So
Yeah, they
yeah.
definitely make you laugh. There's no doubt about that. And you're right about the impact that they have and everything. Because right after I appeared on your show and everything, I think it was the last time I appeared, which would have been last week. I actually got a LinkedIn comment from one of the people. I don't think that they were one of your guests or anything of that nature. And definitely, I'm trying to see if I can pull it up what their comment was. But they were basically saying how much they had enjoyed my appearance, and like I said, it was just a brief appearance that I had on the show, but they were saying how much they enjoyed it and how much they enjoyed my energy. I think they were talking about my voice and things of that nature. So, like I said,
Yeah.
after I had appeared there last week, and I think they sent me a note on LinkedIn. So I agree, it's definitely something that can catch that folks are paying attention to, even when you think they're not paying attention. Because, like I said, it was one of those. They wrote me a quick note, and it was a very good note. Like I said, I had not been. I think I might have even had a slow week that week, or it might have been a week of a pick me up to some degree. So when I got that pick me
No, I
up
love
from
it.
them and everything, it was just real powerful. So I was just
Well,
glad
you
that
do,
they were
Mark. You
able.
you have an amazing voice. I love your voice. You got this. You just got this. The deepness and the twang to it. You got this like love in your voice. It's like a big hug coming for you.
Well,
But it's
well, thank
cool. Like,
you. I
you're so
appreciate you saying that.
welcome.
And speaking of the whole thing with the Snapchat, I still have not mastered that. I have it on my laptop. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the little figures to go
Yeah.
so that I can play and everything as well, even on this show and on the dinner
Yeah.
party. All I've gotten so far is the little emblem and everything, but I haven't figured out how to make it actually work so I can turn into frogs and elephants
Right.
and whatever else. So
Well,
right
it's
now, I just have to
fun.
satisfy with my little playful
I
alligator.
love that.
I'll bring an alligator to
We're
the
gonna
party.
we're gonna get you and Veronica on at the same time with your alligator and her giraffe. But it's cool because like people really they'll come on and they'll be like, we want to do that too, and they'll go and integrate Snapcam and want to come on the show and do it too. It's a really cool thing, and there's even people that because I mean my shows are all about bringing people in from the comments. Like those are the guests. And there's some people that'll show up and I'm like, yeah, come join us on the show. And, we got to poke the bear a little bit and then they'll hop in there. It's the first time they're on a live show and they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And afterwards they're like, wow, that was so cool. Like that was so much fun. Again, it made them feel good and they had a good time. And again, that's what it's about. Or people that'll join the show and, for the first time and be like, wow, what that's, this is cool. Like it's something that we're not having to think about. Again, all the craziness. And you even said something earlier, Mark, where people from around the world. I mean, the last show we and all the shows, but I mean, last Saturday's show. I mean, we had people from Morocco and New York and Cameroon and Brazil and Hawaii and Africa and Portugal and Saudi Arabia and all across the states too. But like it's truly an amazing thing, again, technologically, to think, wow, what an awesome way for us to be able to come together and be on exact opposite parts of the world, right? And be able to impact one another and just have a good time together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just to let you, I did find it. I found the email. It was some lady named Rosalind Krieger, and she said,
Oh,
and I'm
sure. Yeah.
he said, "Hi, Mr. Lee. I really enjoyed your segment today with Brian Schulman and Tim Sohn. I'm interested in the online dinner party and your radio work. I used to host a radio show in Toronto, so we've actually been communicating back and forth. But that's who it was. She was,
That's
like I said,
yeah. Yeah, Rosalind she joined the show in the comments. She saw the show for the first time last Wednesday, and she was like, "This is amazing. This is so much fun." And she came to the second show on Shout Out Saturday too, and had a blast. So yeah, it's great. I mean, just again, you meet so many amazing people, and then again they show up, and then they want to show up again and again and again, and because it makes them feel good, and that makes us feel good that they feel good. And we'd love to have everybody on the show. We had a guy that joined us from India, and his connection wasn't great, but he said he had been quarantined for 7 or 14 days. Tim remembers. And he's like, "This is the first time I have felt good through this quarantine." And he said, "Thank you." And I'm like, that's amazing. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So if we can just lift people's spirits a little bit during these times that we're in, this is the gift that I can give, that we can give, is we can make people laugh and lift people's spirits. And again, at the same time, like Tim and I are doing that for each other too. So we're able to feel it, and give it, and help others.
Yep,
Which
and
I love.
like I said, I agree with you. I want everybody in the world on the different platforms, whether it's y'all's platform, whether it's the platforms we got here on IBM.TV or a number of other ones. There might be a couple of folks I'm not sure I want them on, but that's just a personal thing. Because, like I said,
Yeah.
certain people around, like hanging out around Washington, and I don't know about some of their politics. So some of them I'm not too sure about, but that's just me
Yeah.
personally.
No, I feel you. And that's again like the whole purpose of the show is it's fun, right? It's like share something good or give a shout out, social distancing. It's really clear cut. It's not, hey, let's talk about politics or religion or what. No, this is let's talk about the good, share the good, and give gratitude, and again have some fun, right? And again, it's a different dynamic. It's unique in its own way in so many ways. And again, I love that about the shows, and I think people do too, because again, you don't have to think. It's not intense. It's fun. It's good. It makes you feel better, and that's
It
what we
does
can
a
do.
great job of doing it. It definitely makes you feel better. I just love, like I said, your energy and everything. As we wind down, if there's any words of advice that you just give people in general that can uplift their spirits, like I said, y'all do a great job of that. You make me laugh all the time, both you and Tim. But if there's any words of encouragement or anything that you can share that you want to share with our listening audience that might get them to lift up their spirits, in particular, they're going through a hard time, not just with COVID, but maybe they're going through a health crisis, a divorce crisis, or some other crisis in their life. But I think that people like you with your spirit are always able to get us in a more positive mindset. So I don't know if there's something that you can share that you would want to share that might help uplift people.
Look, life is hard sometimes. I think we all realize that in general, but especially over the last 6 months that we've all been growing through with COVID, it's not easy. It's okay that it's not easy. It's okay if it hurts, if it's hard, if you break down, if you need to take a nap, if you feel like everything's crumbling around you. Know that we all feel that way, truly, and we all have felt that way. But know that you're not alone. Know that you can reach out. You can reach out to friends. You can reach out to people. You can, you're not growing through it by yourself. And all you gotta do is pick up the phone or go to the keyboard or whatever it may be, and just reach out, right? And by the way, know that you can do that for other people too. If you're feeling a vibe, yes, Tim, now more than ever, if you're feeling the vibe and it's not that usual vibe that someone has, reach out and say, hey, how are you doing? I just want to let you know I was thinking about you. I want to send some love your way. Let's hop on a video chat. Let's get on a call. It'd be good to see your face or hear your voice. I would employ you all. Come on the shows. I think you'll feel better. Or if anything, just come watch the show and join in the comments and engage with the tribe that shows up. And but come on this show, because you will have a good time. You always feel good when you're dancing. You always feel good when, like I said, when you're giving gratitude or when you're talking about the good. And remember, there's always a silver lining. Trust me, I know from experience. Like whenever things look like they are falling apart around you, usually that means you're growing the most. There's something good about to come. But more importantly, just know that you've got people around you that care about you, and that you are in it together with others, and it's something that you can talk about with others. It's not something you have to wonder. Again, if you're going through other hard times during that we're going in. I mean, everybody's experiencing tough times, so yeah, you're not alone.
Yep.
We're here for you.
Yep. Definitely. I would definitely urge people to go check them out and everything. Those shows are just amazing and everything. What's the quickest way folks can find you, Brian, if they want to catch you on Wednesday or on Saturday? You did give the times, but if you want to give the links or ways that folks can reach you, if you remember those off the top of your
Yeah.
head, then we can definitely share that with folks, because I do want folks to come and check y'all out on a regular basis. I do know, and I'm springing this on both you and Tim out of nowhere and everything, but I do know that IBM TV, which I'm part of and everything, is looking for content. They've got about 50 hours of content right now, and they're hoping to have 100 hours by the end of the year. So if either you or Tim want to bring your platform on to here on a regular basis, I'm pretty sure I can speak for my producers in saying that we would welcome you onto this platform as well. So just let me know.
Yeah, I would love to chat with you about that. Would be honored. Would be absolutely honored. So let's definitely talk about that. Yeah, but you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That is my home. Again, it's where I've lived for almost 17 years every single day. Shout out to Stefan, who just showed up. He's been on the show before. He's amazing. He's got some awesome shows, by the way. But yeah, so if you go to linkedin.com/in/Brian Schulman, that's my channel. If you send me a personalized invite, say, hey, Brian, saw you on the radio show with Marc Lee. That way I won't miss your invite. That would be great. I'd love to connect with each and every one of you that is watching either live or in replay. That would be wonderful. And yeah, it's usually that's the best way. That's the best place to connect for sure. So much love to you, Marc. I'm so honored to have been your guest. Thank you so much for welcoming me and asking me to be a guest on your show. Honored to be with you and your tribes across all the platforms. And thank you to IBM for being able to join you. And again, yeah, I would love the opportunity to chat about bringing the shows to this platform as well.
Sounds great. Definitely look forward to it. I'll talk to Kim Calhoun and Nick Palveda, who are the founders of the IBM.TV network. And of course, folks sometimes want to know, is it associated with the big company? And it's a very loose association because they had done some consulting work. So the IBM actually totally stands different from that, and it's a totally separate platform. But some do sometimes try to want to make it the same company. And they've done some work with that company, but it's totally separate from that platform and everything. So just to let folks know, but yeah, we have all kinds of great programming, including one that I think you would really enjoy, but it's some friends of mine from Colorado, and they're doing a show called Talking Upstream, and it's basically them whiteboarding ideas. So they're creating like their own podcasts, their own sitcoms, their own TV shows, and it's literally you watching them whiteboard, and through the powers of the internet, you can comment. I know I have a field day commenting because they were creating a ghost story yesterday, and I was giving them all kinds of ideas for what the ghost should do or should not do. So, like I said, that's every Sunday. I think it's like around 4:30 to 6 our time. So 4:30 to 6 East Coast time. So what's that? 1:30 to 2 or 2:30 to 3 in terms of West Coast where you and Colorado are. So definitely, it's a great show. It's one of the shows. We've also got a lady from South Africa that does a music cafe. So Alexandria's Music Cafe, and she's on Sundays as well. She's on Sunday at 3:00. My friend Zach does 2 funk shows. One called Funk Music with Zach. That's on Sunday, and then Funk from the Front Seat, which is on Saturday afternoon. So there are a number of programs like that. They also have invited me to come on tomorrow because my brother got me into fantasy football decades ago, and they're the fantasy football show as well. So I'll get on there and tell them how bad my fantasy football team is going to do. I mean, I did get Tom Brady and I did get the Ravens, but the computer picked, I think, half my team. So I'm not even sure who my players are or how good they are. So I got to try to do some juggling, maybe some trades.
There you go.
But we'll figure it out one way or the other. I actually surprised myself last year, Brian. in the fantasy football, I actually came in third because I was in the Final Four, lost the first round game, and got to play in the third place game, and I did win that one. So I
That's
finished third,
awesome.
won a little bit of cash, but I was feeling pumped. Thought I was going to finally get the championship. Didn't happen. So maybe 2020, with all the weirdness that's going on, maybe I can be part of the weirdness and I can win a championship this year.
There you go. Well,
Cool.
I'm sending you all the good vibes for that.
Please do. I love the positive vibes, and you're always sending me good vibes on a regular basis. You and Tim are just truly amazing, and I do love both of y'all dearly. I definitely consider y'all part of my tribe, and I'm glad to be part of y'all's tribe as well. So glad that you were able to join me. And like I said, I'll talk to you about the seeing about getting Voice to Your Vibe, as well as some of your other shows on whether it's Shout Out Wednesday or Shout Out Saturday or what's the one for Wednesday? You just said it
What's
several
good
times.
Wednesday?
But so
Yeah,
what's up Wednesday? But hopefully we'll be able to get y'all on some of these platforms as well, and just increase the tribe, because I'm all about trying to increase the size of tribes. So hopefully we'll make that happen. But you were a truly amazing guest, just like Tim was when I had him on. So I was glad to be able to finally get you on. And do know that whether it's this one or whether it's one on a Wednesday, the actual online dinner party, that I will have to get you back, because you were always a fun guest, and I'm glad to be on your show multiple times. And I had to get both you and Tim back on one of my platforms whenever y'all are available, because I just consider y'all to be like my brothers in spirit. So definitely, I have a
we
couple of brothers in spirit throughout the world, but y'all are definitely two of my brothers in spirit.
we love you, Mark. We do, man. So appreciate you. Thank you so much, my friend.
No problem. I'm going to go let folks check out a couple of these comments and maybe make one or two comments to wrap up the show. And then I've got to get ready to do my other one. The good news, Brian, is that I don't have to do all three of them, because usually on Monday, I would be doing three of them. I'd be doing the Mark Lee radio show, I'd be doing the Mullins Music and Memory show, and I would be doing my live podcast, which is the more traditional, what I call radio-like podcast from 7 to 9. But my partner in crime on that one, Dean, he was like, "No, I'm having a cookout. I'm taking Labor Day off. You might not be, but I am." So yeah, he wants me to have at least one of the three off. So I will get a little bit of a break after about 6:30 or 7 o'clock, because usually I'd be going straight for about 7 or 8 hours of content creation. But today it's only going to be about 4 to maybe 4.5, 5 hours. So I will not have to worry about those last 2 hours.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, all the love to you and everyone watching. Stay safe out there, and looking forward to seeing y'all very, very soon.
Sounds great. So I'm gonna let Brian slide on out of here, and then I'm gonna share some of the comments that Tim was giving us and everything, because he was definitely having some great comments, and I appreciate Tim for watching us. And he was saying that I didn't know that Brian actually has a zoo in his backyard. I'm not buying that, Tim. I don't even know why you tried to pull my leg like that. And shout out to the painting behind Brian Schulman. And yes, I am a big fan of paintings. Love paintings. Yes, catch Brian. He's a super fan. So definitely can say that. And I'm a super fan of theirs as well. And of course, we already heard about the motorcycle. And of course, we've got to go to all the places and all the farms. And of course, there's a number of other things that Brian was, Tim was sharing as well. Shout out to all the investments. Yeah, investments is very important in whatever business you got going on. You got to go with those investments. And of course, there were a number of people that were shouted out as well. So, and of course, we are all about shouting out the fun. It's all about the fun. No doubt about that. Definitely appreciate the fun. And then we got shout out to the, we got shout out to the tribes and the vibes. And of course, the hot dogs. Yeah, they love them hot dogs. They'll be glad to know that I just ordered from the produce box, and hot dogs are on the way. So some real hot dogs. They did not get here in time for Labor Day, but I will be having me some hot dogs in the very near future. So I'm looking forward to those hot dogs coming my way. And then, of course, we got shout out to more people, including Veronica Jean and Wendy. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I got to get Wendy on the show, too. I've been telling Wendy that I want to get her on. Wendy is just an amazing person, and her whole family is amazing as well. And, of course, we've got these number of other great folks that were also being mentioned as well. So definitely we're seeing a lot of great comments. Tim was just on top of it, left and right. So definitely appreciate Tim for sharing his wisdom. Of course, he got to give a shout out to his favorite hot dog because he just loves that particular one. So of course, we got to give shout outs to that. And there's a number of other ones, and folks were praising my voice and my alligator. And of course, we all know about Stephen Kaplan. Stephen Kaplan is the person behind Spinach Social. So glad that definitely was being mentioned and all of that. So definitely having some great shout outs. We got a shout out to the drink that Brian Schulman was drinking. So Brian was just drinking his drink, and that got a shout out. And of course, we got a shout out to What's Up Wednesday, Brian Schulman. So definitely appreciate all those great shout outs that folks were given and things along that line. So definitely appreciate all them great shout outs and all of that. So definitely appreciate that. And we heard some great comments. I'm gonna bring Brian in just for one more second there and everything. Brian, had to pop you back in there before closing everything out and everything. So definitely had a great conversation with you. Amazing and things of that nature. We do sometimes mention the important things that going on. Of course, we talked about COVID and everything else, and you gave such positive vibes. But I know that coming up in this month is World Peace Day, and the fine folks here at the network are going to be doing a celebration around world peace. And of course, we know folks are very much concerned about voting and things of that nature. So I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you got any quick things that you want to say really quickly about world peace and around the importance of voting, I would love to hear that from you. And then that'll be a total wrap up for the show.
World peace is something that we need more than ever. I think we've been talking about world peace ever since we could speak. So yes, world peace is something, each one of us can help. Like I said, we each have a voice, we each have a heart, and we each can show up, and one life can impact another. It becomes a ripple effect. That's how it works. So definitely do your part to bring peace and kindness to the world, wherever and however you can. Simple, small acts of kindness never get unnoticed. So whether it's something simple like opening the door for someone, or reaching out to give somebody a call, or putting a nice comment, or telling someone they have a nice voice, right, Marc? Yes. I've run out of water, so I'm going to lose my voice in a second. But yes, it's shout out to the, what was that? Peaceful coding? Shout out to peaceful coding. Sure. Tim's shout outs everything. Yes. Shout out to Tim and the typing. So yes, and show up. Show up in all means of both things that we're talking about. It's so important to show up. So that's what I have to say. Definitely, please make sure you show up.
Yep, definitely appreciate it. I definitely think we need to show up. That's very important. Folks always say that they are concerned about what's going on in the world, whether that's on the local level, the state level, or the national level. But as folks have told me throughout my life, nobody really has a right to complain if you haven't done your part, which is actually exercising your voice in terms of exercising your voice with the vote. So like I said, whether it's that or whether it's some of the more other kinds of activism, you really can't complain if you haven't done your part. So I definitely think that everybody needs to get out there and show up. Don't just make it a point of saying that you are concerned about whatever your issue is. And I know we've all got different issues that are our passion issues, but whatever that passion issue is for you, you can't really talk about what folks aren't doing for you if you haven't done your part. So we definitely have to do our part as well. And it's something very simple. I mean, it doesn't take that long to either go to the mailbox if you're going to do the mail-in kind of voting and things of that nature. And even though it might be a long line, at the end of the day, that's not going to be long compared to what you're trying to gain. So definitely, whether you're going to show up at the polls or whether you're going to do mail-in voting or however you're going to get that vote done, I do urge folks to get out there and get that vote done, because I don't think we can really make any kind of complaint if you haven't done your part. And that's something very simple that we can do in this democracy that we live in. So I would definitely urge folks to get out there and get their votes in as well. So that's my closing thoughts on that. And I just love this positive vibe. It definitely made me have a smile on my day. I had a friend come by and get me a bite to eat, so that would already put somewhat of a smile on a day that was starting off a little bit on a not as positive a vibe as I would have liked. And then Brian and this whole conversation of about an hour and a half just was like the topping on the cake, and definitely gave me a warm smile. Definitely helped me get through the other show that I'm going to do, and that will just make the rest of this day and the rest of this week go by really well. So I want to thank you again, Brian. You are a great friend, and definitely glad to have you here on the show with me. So definitely, I just want to thank you for appearing here on the radio show with Mark Lee, and I definitely want to let folks know that I'm looking forward to catching up with you in the very near future, and definitely look forward to it. Hopefully one of these days we can actually catch up with each other in real life, in person, and actually get to meet each other and have a good time with each other in real time space. That being said, I'm going to put on something that I think Brian will get a kick out of. But one of the things we have here is that the daughter, and she's a young daughter of one of my producers, did a spot, and the spot is about what we should be doing in this age of COVID in terms of washing our hands, in terms of covering our mouth, and all of that. So I'll play that, then I'll play a little announcement about IBM.TV, and then I will play the intro slash outro for this particular show. But I do think Brian will get a kick out of this, and it'll be his first time catching our ambassador, giving us some clues as to what to do.
Coronavirus से कैसे बचेंगे? हैंड होकर और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे अच्छू अच्छू और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
Such a
So
lovely thing.
cute.
Yes, that's my producer, Ankit. That is his young daughter, and she does her ambassadorial duties for us by telling us folks what to do in terms of washing their hands, covering their mouth, and doing all of that. So Ankit's daughter just does a great job, and we're glad to have her share those thoughts with her. And of course, as you can tell, she had her Raggedy Ann doll with her as well. So the Raggedy Ann doll was having fun also. And they're actually living in India. So we're just glad to have them share their thoughts with us. And right now, this is a little bit about IBM.TV. And one more once I get to the radio show one.